Well, I'm Brian-esl from how-to-automotive. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to change the PCV valve on a Jeep Grand Cherokee with the 3.6 liter Pentastar engine. I'm going to walk you step by step through the process of installing this. So come with me. So the first step is to get the top engine cover off. You're just going to pop up in the back, and then set this aside. So this is what the PCV valve looks like. It's going to be located on the passenger side. So if you follow your air cleaner here, follow it back, and then you see this hose here. This hose is attached to it, so it's right there. So we're gonna pop this hose off. Sometimes there may or may not be a clamp on here. If there's a clamp, you'll usually have a squeeze clamp. You'll squeeze the clamp, and we're gonna pull this hose off. So I popped that hose off. It actually came completely off, so the other end here just has a nipple right back here. You'll be able to feel it. So I just popped it off and set this aside. Now we're gonna go ahead and get that out. So to do that, you're gonna need a little tool like this. This is made by VIM Tools. I will link this up in the description. They're not very expensive, but they're a bit driver set like this. I believe it's a T25. We'll double check that right now. But we're gonna get back here like this. And then there's two bolts, one on the top and one on the bottom. You should be able to reach them with this and just pop these off. So we're replacing this because of an oil leak, and also this car had an internal vacuum leak, so it had a lean condition, and this was the root cause of the problem. Also, as I was checking this out, I noticed it had 3 bolts. The new part has 2 bolts mounting it on. So I did a little research and found out that they have upgraded the PCV valve on it. Here is the most current one from the dealership. And this is what the new PCV valve looks like, the upgraded one. So the way the PCV valve mounts in it is a little bit different than the older version. So you'll also have to get the hose here. I will leave the part numbers in the description of the video. That way, if you need to find those part numbers, you can find those there. Now this job is not particularly hard as far as in taking apart a lot of stuff, but it is a little bit challenging to get back here and work with these little screws. So I started by taking out the outer bolt here first. Once I cracked these free, I was able to spin them out by hand. So I just loosened them up a few threads, and then I was able to reach down here with my fingers and then loosen those bolts up by hand. Next, I did the top bolt. So I decided I need to take out the air snorkel here. So I unplugged the temp sensor here, loosened up the 2 clamps holding it on, and then set this aside. And the reason why is this wire harness right here is kind of in the way going around the back side here. It's covering up the bottom bolt, and I need to make get some slack in this wiring harness to get it out. To do that, I used what they call a pry tool, or what they would use on a door panel, and just pop these little Christmas trees holding the wire looms down. So there's 3 or 4 of these spots. You'll just look around here and find those and pop those up. Now that I got a little bit of slack in the wiring harness, I'm going to push it down and push it towards the firewall, and that should give me access to the bottom bolt right here. So it did give me enough access to get the socket on there, the torque socket on here, but I was having a little bit of trouble still spinning that bolt out. So what I decided to do is take a 13 millimeter. So there's a metal cooling pipe right here running along the side. I decided to take the bolt out. It's also holding the dipstick on here, and then push the pipe down and out of the way, giving me even more slack on the wiring harness to get back here and spin that bolt out. Once you get the bolts removed, you can pull it out just like this. And as you can see on the older version, it has 3 prongs. Now that we got the old PCV valve removed, I'm going to take a rag and just wipe everything down here and get everything as clean as I possibly can. So as you can see, this corrugated mesh here is smaller on the new part than it is the big one. It's designed like that. It's going to flare as you put this on. I'll take the camera back here and show you how it's going to look. So if you look inside here, you see that little stud coming out. That's going to flare around that and seal around that. So you're going to take the new PCV valve and fit it in here just like this, and just press it in with your fingers. I want you to line everything up, and you'll feel it pop into place. Once you got that done, you can go ahead and start the 2 bolts and run those bolts in until they're snug. After that, you can go ahead and install the new hose that came with it. It mounts on the back of the intake there, and then onto the new PCV valve. Now you're ready to go ahead and remount your wiring harness. Plug that back in. Any of the little connectors holding the hoses that may have popped off, put those back on. Put the metal pipe for the heater hose and the dipstick back in, and start that bolt. And then you can go ahead and put your air cleaner assembly back together. So I will link up all the tools and the parts that I use in this video down in the description. I'm Brian-esl from How to Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, encourage you to subscribe, and don't forget the top engine cover.